welcome back to Night Talk. This is episode 2 on the Russian sirens, Swan Maidens and Kitsune or Kitsune. With your host Fate2250 and patron Thor on air.
Hello and welcome. I hope you guys are having a nice crypto dinner with a nice side of creepy sauce. And as patron Thor has just said, we will be talking about the legendary Swan Maidens as our first topic. Now, deep in the mountains and forests of Japan, long been the domain of the legendary Tengu, the flaming bird, almost similar to the phoenix. The most famous creatures in Japanese folklore. The Tengu is a shape-shifting bird-like creature of the skies and trees, and they have been seen as protectors of the mountains. They are a mystical Tengu-like creature, the Swan Maidens are. They change into human to swan and in Russian folklore, and then similar to the Kitsune, the storyline that goes with it is it's a love story where the man finds the Swan Maiden, takes its nice feathery robe, and bears her kids. And then when the Swan Maiden has a chance to escape or anything, it has to have the kids take the robe.
Interesting. How so? Why?
Well, because the Swan Maiden is a very mystical bird and plucks her feathers for the man to sell for profit, to make into legendary robes. Finest silk that the world has ever seen.
Yeah.
But every time that she plucks a feather from her body, she gets iller and sicker.
Oh no.
Yeah. So when the man realizes this, or the kids do, she'll find a way to get her robe back, or at least her life force back, and leave and run.
So she can move on and leave at that point and
Yes.
live her life? Oh wow. Now, do the Swan Maidens take only the form of a swan, or do they take other bird forms or any other animal forms?
They can take up to the form of a crane, to any form like bird person. But usually, most commonly known, it is a swan.
Swan. Therefore the name Swan Maiden, I'm sure.
But she will leave her kids behind with the husband.
Up and leave.
Yep, just up and leave.
That's pretty uncommon in most of the animal kingdom, so, it's pretty interesting that the Swan Maiden would do so.
If you think about it, she's protecting herself at this point. She is getting sicker, she is dying every time that there's a feather plucked from her.
It's all about survival at that point?
Yes. And it's an ambiguous quest once she's gone for the man. The man just gives up.
After a certain point, just says, you know what, it's not worth running miles and miles trying to find this.
Yes, because it's almost impossible. You're going to find every swan.
Yeah.
She's going to hide in the mountains.
You're going to have to check every swan. That'd be a little difficult. So, it's an interesting bird, like human form. And, it has the relations with the other three. The whole Tengu thing.
The Tengu, the flaming phoenix.
And they're not. Are they easy to spot? Hard to spot? What are we looking at here?
They're a mystical creature that comes in from the mountains that protect. The Tengu is. So what happens is it is a flaming bird.
Yeah.
So
kind of like a phoenix.
It's kind of like a phoenix. It doesn't resurrect anything. But what it does do is that its feathers bring joy and knowledge to people.
Joy and knowledge. Interesting. So it's easy to identify, hard to find.
Exactly, because at night its wings glow red.
Oh wow! Then
it's a shimmering red.
It's like Rudolph's nose there. So, hard to find, easy to spot. Now there's anything else you have on that?
Yeah. One of the Japanese stories called The Crane Wife.
Ah, The Crane Wife.
It's about a man who marries a woman who who is in fact, a crane.
Mm-hmm.
Or the Tensuru no Ogashi,
Yeah.
disguised as a human.
Huh.
And like I said, she plucks her own feathers to weave silk barcades, which is a type of clothing.
Yeah. Okay.
That the man sells. But every time she plucks feathers from her, she grows ill until the man discovers this, and she flees into the darkness, never to be seen again.
Wow. So she basically gets herself sick.
Yeah.
For this guy who then sells her feathers.
Mm-hmm.
And then she gets to a point where she's like, you know what? I'm out.
Yeah.
Interesting. Do you think it's similar or related to the Gamma Yun or Gamma Yune?
Why, yes, of course, because in the sense it is a shape-shifting bird.
Uh-huh.
It is related to the spiritual Tengu.
Yes.
Which by then separates itself into 3 different breeds of sirens.
Yeah.
We have a normal siren, which sings, its voices attract men with sadness and grief.
Sadness and grief, huh?
That is what you hear from them. Like their songs are about sadness and grief that attract. And then we have the Alkanost. And according to Russian myths and folklore, a body-like bird, but with a head of a beautiful woman. The sound it makes is amazingly beautiful. Mm-hmm. If you hear her songs, you lose control and will only want to hear her voice.
So basically like a seduction?
Yes, she leads them into the underworld.
She
lives in the underworld with her counter-sirens, such as Russian sirens and the Guyama.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting that Gamma Yun actually also related to these, similar, kind of also brings happiness and joy, for it sings the song of wisdom and knowledge and truth. And they are seen as truth seekers and truth seers. They've been told to tell the future and
so they've
see
been
the fate.
Prophets.
Prophets, yes, exactly. They're like prophets. And they see into the future. They know the fate of the world. They know the truth, and they basically spend their times alone. Rarely are they with somebody, and if it is, it's, again, a lured-in man, if you will, seduced by her ways, her beauty, her looks, her knowledge. And that goes for the men she may have targeted too. Maybe they weren't just your average day Joe fella. It could have been a smart man, a very knowledgeable, noble type of man that they would go after, either to seek a hidden power of wealth and formal, trying to find the word. They're formal. They live formal, noble
lives, like royal lives.
Formality, I guess, is the word. I don't know. But to try to remain hidden, but still be in an area where they don't have to scavenge or scounder. Because out in the woods, it is a survival situation for them too.
Yeah.
They got to dodge all these men, and anyway, the Gamma Yun, or pronounced in Gamma Yuna, depending on where you are, comes from Russia and back especially to old Russia. It's similar to the 3. It's a large bird with a woman's head. Very rarely there's been, I think, one occurrence. They said it was basically opposite. It was a bird with a woman's body. I'd probably image and want the other one. But anyways, it's said that they are transformed into an archangel into paradise.
So the heavens.
Basically, heavens, whatever there's many different spiritual beliefs on what the heavens are. But whatever you want to call it, paradise, when we say rest in peace, that's what they're talking about. And an archangel, as you know, is basically someone who watches over a protector.
Technically, like the Lord, like a god or a lord's army.
Yeah,
their main army.
They are the ones that, if you will, the infantry, the ones that get out there and protect and serve, mythologically speaking.
So, back to the Alkanost. Did you know that when they lay their eggs, they lay them on the beach, right?
Yeah.
And after that, they push their eggs into the ocean.
Oh,
and
wow.
do you know what happens when they put their eggs in the ocean and they're about to hatch?
No, what happens?
Thunderstorms. Crackling thunderstorms that cause tsunamis, of destruction and chaos.
The power of Thor. Wow, that's bizarre.
They cause massive thunderstorms, and they came from the name Alkanos came from the Greek demigods, whose name was Alkalon.
Mm-hmm.
Alkalon was transformed by the gods into the king Fisher.
Yeah.
And like I said, they sing of joy and happiness.
Mm-hmm.
They bring joy.
Interesting. That's also like the Gamma Yun, where they bring joy and happiness.
I think the only one that's pretty bad is the Siren here, because the Siren, they may lead everyone to the underworld, the Gamma Yun, the Akanash, and the just normal Sirens. They all go to the underworld.
Yeah, but host-wise, they fail.
Yeah. But the Sirens are the only ones that attract anybody that has... And this is all mankind, because their hearts will always be depressive, deep down.
Yeah.
And so their songs will always call them forth.
Uh-huh. Wow, that's crazy. Because I know the Gamma Yun is a legend that involves heroic characters or fantastic places, and often encompass the spiritual beliefs of the originating cultures with them. These all come from somewhere, so it really means a lot to some people. We're talking about it now, and some people honestly think this kind of stuff is absolutely 100% fake. And there's some
I wouldn't say it's 100% fake. Hell, like I can meet a bunch of women right now, and they either with the ways that they speak could either be very depressive that allure a man, or maybe even happiness.
Yeah, both ways, and it goes for the real world. And so what I was saying is, there are people who don't believe in it, and there are people who do. We're the people who we believe in it. That's why we do this show. But it's a better understanding that we have to have. These are myths, if you want to call them, and a myth is a story based on a tradition or legend, so they come from somewhere. All these things, the Gamma Yun, the Kitsune, the Sirens, the Swan Maiden, they all come from somewhere, and it's very interesting how they kind of tie together.
There is a reason beyond like writing. Somebody had to have seen them. And write this stuff down. There is a history that has been lost by man.
Yeah. Well, I know in the Russian word it's derived with this is agama, correct me if I'm wrong, or akama. I'm not Russian, so I don't know the exact pronunciation of those words, but they mean a noise. So I could only assume that with these the Sirens and the Kitsune and the Gamma Yun, they're all spotted somehow because they're making a noise, luring in these men. So that's when they're written down into legend, and that's where we are today, talking about it, mythologically speaking.
That is some interesting topics on the Gamma Yun.
I know they serve pagan gods, and I know paganism has dropped down quite a bit in percentage of that as going for actual people that believe in it, paganists. If you believe in paganism, it's very low percentage of people that actually believe in it.
Well, if we talk about paganism, like old school satanicism was based and founded on pagans.
Yes.
And it was corrupted and twisted into the forms of the devil and evil.
The whole Christianity thing.
And that is another topic we will get on at a way later episode. When we go into...
Probably next season.
Probably episode 20 or so.
Yeah, I'm saying season 2 or season
3,
We'll get to that a lot later on, but we really want to get the mythological creatures and
we got
cryptids.
A long way to go.
There's a huge list, folks. If you think this is just the first 2 episodes, you're right, because there's a lot more to come.
And we're trying to do them in threes. We're picking out 3 specific ones that are related to their kind.
Exactly. We're trying to keep them close gap together because of the different versions and the variations, and
a lot of them are pretty similar.
Oh yeah, a lot of them.
So you got to pick the ones that
you could almost say they're all exactly the one thing.
Like we can go hours and hours on one of them.
And we will in the future when we get followers and people to actually tune in for a while, sit down, grab a comfy comfy seat and a couple snacks and just tune in and listen and maybe even join in on the chat.
Yeah, everyone is welcome to comment, rate, subscribe, like, and we will be posting when we do our times.
Exactly.
So you have time to sit in, get your notifications from YouTube or Twitch. We will be starting a Twitch stream at some point.
Hopefully soon at some point.
But in the end run, do we have anything more to say about these mythical creatures?
Yeah, all in all, the fact that the 3 are combined to the Tenju are so similar, is the reason why we picked the 3. They have all these interesting facts, and even as we were looking today, it's kind of hard to find these facts. So you have to really dig down into the pages and actually read just to get a little bit of information that we got.
Like, we were researching all the way up to Hinduism.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we were going into, like, elephant-headed men and demigods.
Mm-hmm.
And it was sort of just getting off-track a little bit too far when we were researching it.
Yeah. Well, like they say, a legend is a semi-true story passed on from person to person, and has its important meanings of symbolism for the cultures that it comes from, and we really want to dig down and get to the bottom of it from all sides of the cultures, not just from the one Russian, but where else may have this been? Has it been cited in Asia, Europe, Americas? Where else?
Well, I guess we can look in California or New York City for those.
Yeah.
Vegas is pretty good for those sirens.
Yeah, Vegas, you want to find a siren, you go down to Vegas with a wallet full of cash and some alcohol.
It's called Sin City for a reason.
Not giving any of the younger folks ideas, but...
well, it doesn't even matter if you're giving a young folk idea anyway. They have to be 21 to even walk the strip.
Yes, at that point it's on Vegas.
Yeah, it's Vegas's terms. Let them deal with their laws.
Yeah.
Let
them have the kitsunes and the sirens of the city. But yeah, the Gamayun, and what was that one?
The Akanash.
The Akanash, the one with the joy and happiness.
And then we have the normal Russian sirens, which can relate to the Japanese and European sirens, dating back to the Vikings.
Oh wow, that's a long time ago.
Well, remember that the first drawings of the Tengu, the Akanash, the Guyama, they were all, the artist's rendition of them were back in 1827 to 1905.
And that's the craziest thing, Fate, is that if you really look into a lot of these things, I would say minus El Chupacabra, as we talked about last time, it didn't really start till the 1980s, 1995.
Well, the first, goat-sucking incidences happened around that time.
Documented, but as far as we know, a lot of these cryptids honestly kind of date back to the same type, the Viking area where the early 15th, 16th century up into the 1800s.
But if we go even farther, we can go all the way up to Egyptian, 2,000 years, 5,000 years.
Just like they say about the, what are those called? The giants, building those structures. We could go back to those times, even maybe before Christ, before all these records really started putting in place, where most of the records were either cave drawings, hieroglyphics, or Viking scriptures. And when I say Viking, I mean Nordic. I mean anyone who lived in that area
during the 1700s.
Yeah, you didn't necessarily have to be a Viking, which were a nomadic culture, versus the westernization where they were more about let's make it here and live here forever. And so that really dates back really far. And using the knowledge we have now, there could be a lot more information that we may never even find, just because it's probably hidden in some tomb somewhere, or just it's been discarded. I mean, look at how many years have gone on the earth, wars, destruction, natural disasters. I mean, there's a lot of history that honestly just could have been destroyed, and so we got to go with what we know and have now, and use our own faiths and beliefs we
might have to travel a bit. We're gonna have to go out of country. We're gonna have to go to the synagogue.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
There's a deep cavern that has a bunch of ancient books that we're even not allowed to read.
We will either gain permissional access or we will gain entry by force.
Well,
if we have to.
Force is a strong word.
Plan
More
B.
like
Plan B.
Plan Z.
Y? Plan Y?
No, plan C. If it's plan C, it's plan crypto.
That, or if it's plan Y, after we do it, we can ask ourselves why we did it.
Tune in next time to find out. Episode 3, what will that subject will be on?
We are going to mainly cover the Captois. Yes, I said it, the Captois. Most of you probably have no clue what the Captois is. And it sounds French. Yes, I know it sounds like a fine wine. But it is
very
not.
Delicious.
It is a crypto-mythological creature. And we will cover that on episode 3, which... Hey, we're going to be doing that tomorrow, right? Sunday.
Oh, yeah. Sunday. Sunday.
So, yeah, you guys are going to have to tune in with us. Here we have Fate 2250 on my side.
And Patron Thor on the other.
This has been Night Talk.
And we are signing out.
Have a good night. Avidose and adios.